I felt like I was in my own little like weird world these like last few months. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Kayla and this is Lucy. So today I want to do a hopefully quick little update today on my Kindle Unlimited experience from the last 3 months. I want to keep this short and sweet. That usually doesn't happen. I tend to ramble. But we're gonna go with it. So I did a video in January after using Kindle Unlimited for a month, just kind of going over like what I felt were like the pros and the cons and like what my favorite books were from that month, like how much money I saved, all that stuff. But I'll link that video in the description below. So I had a 3-month free trial that I got from Amazon. It came with the purchase of my Kindle. I had purchased the Kindle like at the beginning of 2021, and then I finally used the free subscription at the end of 2021. I don't know why I didn't use it sooner, and now like, I don't know, I'm kind of kicking myself. I wish I would have like dived into Kindle Unlimited like way sooner, but I mean, regardless, we're here. But now that the 3-month subscription is expired, I kind of have to decide if I want to like keep doing the subscription and like actually pay for it or not. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want more book videos. So for me, using Kindle Unlimited was kind of a weird experience. I feel like the last 3 months were very interesting with having Kindle Unlimited because I just had like so many options when it came to reading. And I don't know, like, so where I live, it's very cold and I just didn't want to be outside very much January through March. And so like I found myself just reading a lot more and like trying to like get into like kind of like that escapism like into books because like I just didn't want to go outside. And then also in addition to that, this little one was sick. She had surgery in December and we've been kind of like dealing with just kind of like her care these last few months. And so it very much was like a good way for me to kind of like just dive into a different world and dive into like these different characters' lives. See, there she goes. But so it was a good time for me to try out the Kindle Unlimited for 3 months. But it was such a weird experience because normally I read on my Kindle constantly. But usually I use the Libby app when I'm reading on it and I'm like I'm getting books from the library through the Libby app. And so normally I just have like the one book that I've checked out from the library and I'm just read that book, return it, and then move on to the next one. With Kindle Unlimited, I have never had so much of like a wandering eye when it comes to books. So like I said, like normally I'm really good at like reading the one or two and like, you know, when I'm done, just kind of moving on from it. But that was not what happened these last 3 months. I was so distracted. I could not stop. Like I would start reading a book and then like in the middle of reading it, I would just like stray and I would start reading another one. And then I would be partway through that one and like a few chapters in or something. And then I would find myself going to the store and scrolling and another one would catch my eye. And I'd just be like, oh, hey, like, what's this? Like another new book. And then I would forget about the first one that I was reading. But then I would end up abandoning the second one that I had moved on to reading because a third one had caught my eye. So it was just like 3 months of my attention just being like dragged around and like me constantly like changing what I was reading. And it was a very new, weird experience for me. And it's not like I wouldn't finish any of these books that I would start, like because I did. I don't even know how many I downloaded and started reading. I stopped keeping track. I kept track the first month, but then I was like, it became too much. But in total, I did finish actually reading 22 in these last 3 months, like from start to end. There were a lot though that like I had read for like hours and then I was just kind of like, I don't really want to finish you. So I do kind of have a lot that are like half finished. And it was interesting because like normally like I don't like just like abandoning a book, but with Kindle Unlimited, for some reason I was just way more okay with just kind of like stopping it and then just kind of moving on. Probably because like I didn't have to pay for it or anything. Like you just download it. So it's not that big of a deal. Or I didn't have to, oh my gosh. Or I didn't have to wait like forever for my like hold at the library for this book and then like finally get it, and then it sucks, and then feel like you have to finish it because you waited so long to read it. And like, that just wasn't a thing. Like, you just download it and you're like, start reading it after a couple of hours, and you're like, oh, if I'm just not into it, it's not that big of a deal. So I do kind of like that I can kind of jump and jump and jump, and it's not that big of a deal. But still, the wandering eye was kind of a problem. So like, with how many options there were to read and like the amount of books that I was like wanting to read and I was interested in, I kind of started getting a little stressed out. And like, at some point I was just kind of like, why are you stressed out about the fact that there's just like too many books to read? Like, why is this a problem? But at the same time, I feel like this is kind of a common thing. Like, I feel like anybody would agree that like their to be read list is just so long. Like, there's just so many books out there and there's so little time. I don't know. With all of that said, like, I still want to keep Kindle Unlimited. Like, I feel like now, even though like having too many options was kind of stressing me out, it's kind of a good thing in my mind to be like, well, if I, instead of it being like a trial now, like if I'm continuing with the service and I'm going to like pay for it and everything, like, it's not like a like limited time thing where it's like, you have to read as many books as you can during this free trial because like it's going away. And now that I've like decided to move forward and just keep it, like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you know, like, you have all of these books that you want to read, but like, you'll just get there in your own time. You can like take your time getting there. You don't have to read like all of these books in like this 3-month time frame. So since I am keeping it, there are a lot of authors that like I started and I only read like one book from them, but they had a lot more on Kindle Unlimited that I like wanted to read, and like I liked the author. So I'm excited to kind of like dive more into that, because like some of these authors have like a lot of books on there, and so I'm kind of excited because it's like, oh, but I really like, you know, this one book of theirs. Like, I'm sure the rest of them are hopefully going to be really good too. So the first author that like I definitely want to dive more into her books is Catherine Ann Kingsley. So I actually read way more than just one of her books. I read the Harrow Fair series, which I think is 5 books, and her Maze of Shadow series. I still have one more left in that one, so I haven't finished that series yet. But I really, really loved the Harrow Fair series. I talked about that one in my January video. That was like the first series that I read this month, and I was like, I loved it. I was obsessed. I read it all within like a week. And like, I'm kind of bummed because last I looked, the series isn't available to buy in like the physical form. And I would love to have this in like a box set in the physical form, because I think the artwork is just super awesome. So I want everybody to read that series so that it'll get more popular, and it would hopefully become a physical release so that I can have that for my shelf. So for her, like, if you're kind of more into like morally gray heroes or like paranormal type settings, she's great for that. I do just really love her stories, and she does have like quite a few series out available, so very excited about that. Okay, so next is Colleen Hoover. Like, okay, you know, she actually does have a good handful of books on Kindle Unlimited. You know, I feel like everybody likes her for a reason, because her books are really good. I don't know. I've only read Reminders of Him so far, just because I feel like I'm emotionally preparing myself to read more of her books, but I'm definitely going to. Really excited to continue on with her. And then next we have, I think it's Siobhan Davis. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm terrible at pronunciations. But she was actually a really surprising one for me. One of her books popped up for me like randomly as an ad on my Kindle screensaver. And normally I completely ignore the screensavers, and I'm just like, oh, I'm sure I don't want to read you. But it caught me at the right moment, and like I was definitely in like a wandering eye type moment when the ad popped up. And so I read it, just kind of being like, okay, well, let's see what you got. And so it was always meant to be. And I was actually really surprised. I was super skeptical when I was going into it. I was kind of put off by the premise at first, like within the first few chapters. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. It was like a reverse age gap where the main character starts dating her son's best friend, but the best friend was like 18, and it was a little strange for me. I didn't feel like, it was a little weird reading it, but I continued on because I was like, well, like, I want to see what happens. And this one actually really surprised me because there were multiple times throughout this book when I was reading it where like I literally exclaimed out loud and I was like, what? Like I was shocked about what was happening. And that's pretty rare for me to like actually have a moment in a book where I'm just like it makes me like be like, what? And so it was just surprising to me. This one had like some twists and turns that I didn't see coming. And that makes a good book for me. Like I had a good time reading it. So I'm definitely willing to give her more shots. And then next was Lucy's Score. I read Things We Never Got Over, and the main premise of this book was kind of about like a woman who like kind of got tricked into having to care for her sister's 11-year-old daughter. But there was a lot more going on in the story besides that. Like the love interest of the story had a lot of his own stuff going on too. And there were a lot of like side characters in this one. Like it took place in like a small town. So there's like, you know, all the small town people who were just kind of always there, but they all had like their own stories and their own stuff going on. And like, I actually liked all of the side characters. And I do think she is going to continue on with like this series, like kind of doing like love stories for the other side characters. And there were a couple of side characters where I'm like, she would give us like little hints of like their like love story. And I was like, well, I want to know what's happening. Like, I actually want a full book based on those characters. So I'm looking forward to that. And I feel like I could just keep going like on and on about like all of these different authors that I tried, but I'm trying to keep this short. So there were many more that caught my eye, but I'm going to end with Mariana Zapata. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But I read one of her books, All Roads Lead Here, and I didn't love it. I didn't actually like the main characters. I don't know. I felt like the female main character was kind of immature for her age, but then like the guy main character was super boring and bland. But it was hard for me because like I actually liked the story and I actually wanted to know what was going to happen, so I finished it. It took me a while to finish. Like that's definitely one that like I read multiple books or started multiple books during the middle of reading it. But I did want to know what happened, and I did finish it. And like overall, it was good. It was just kind of personal preferences with the main characters. But I really do want to give her another shot because I know that her books are known for being like major slow burns for romances. And I love that. And like, I feel like it really keeps me like enticed and like really wanting to like keep reading it and being like, just like kiss already. So there is still a lot on Kindle Unlimited that I want to read. Like I am just like super far from being bored with it. And so I'm definitely, like I said earlier, like I'm definitely keeping it. Like I can't let it go yet. I feel like I'm just going to try and be better at like sticking to like 1 or 2 books at a time instead of like jumping around so much, and like trying to not be so stressed out by all of the options. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a really great service. I love the options when they're not stressing me out. But anyway, so thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.